everybody was concerned about Delta V variant, and from out of nowhere, we are now talking about the Lambda variant. And at the rate these variants are going, looks like magtatayo na sila. It seems that they're putting up different fraternities and sororities for COVID variant viruses. Okay, let's first go to the front page of the Philippine Star para sa inyong hindi nakakabili ngayon ng dyaryo. Okay. Excuse me. Delivery delay halts vaccinations in cities. Excuse me, nasamid po. There has been a serious delay of vaccines in at least 6 major cities or 5 major cities, and so it has affected vaccination program. Pilot error, strong wind may have caused crash. Yan po yung speculation or second guessing of military officials as to what caused the crash of the C-130 Hercules transport plane in Patikul, Holo. Okay, or Sulu. Hindi ko na malaman kung saan ba, Holo ba yun o Sulu. Ousted Sandigan Justice to get benefits. Okay, next. And on the lower page of the front page of the Philippine Star, World Health Organization warns Department of Health versus encouraging complacency. Medyo hindi ko gets yun. Haven't had the chance to go to dive into that story, but we will study that. Sad news, but part of life. Retail icon and ambassador Bienvenido Benny Tantoco passed away at the age of 100 years. And we would like to express our condolences to the family of the late Ambassador Tantoco. And nakasabay ko naman po siya. And he is a true gentleman. Kumbaga yung bang representing the old world, the old refined world of gentlemen and businessmen. Going back to the front page of the Philippine Star, Typhoon Emong exits but monsoon brings rain. Dito po sa bayan ng Lipa, City of Lipa. Maaraw ngayon pero lagi sa hapon kami ay binabagyo ng ulan, binabambo ng ulan. Okay, let's now go to the stories behind those front page news. Some major cities in the Philippines have suspended first dose vaccination due to the delayed delivery of Sinovac jabs. These affected cities include Parañaque and Muntinlupa. However, the inoculation for second doses would continue as supplies have already been reserved. We repeat, uulitin ko po for our viewers, listeners in Parañaque, Muntinlupa, Malabon, Valenzuela, Makati, Caloocan, Pateros, yung pong vaccine kinapos. But kung nabakunahan na kayo, nakareserba na po yung second jab para sa inyo. Your second dose is already on standby and has always been on standby kasi paris-paris yan. Okay. Meanwhile, the World Health Organization urged the Department of Health to be more cautious in its messaging that may lead to complacency. This after the agency announced the country is now classified as low risk for COVID-19. Well, mukhang nasa lugar naman yung paalala. I think it is a reminder, it is just a word of caution to the Department of Health regarding their announcement na we are classified or we now fall under low risk. Kasi naman po, in fairness, pag pumunta kayo ng Indonesia, I couldn't believe it, and I'm going to ask one of our guests or both our guests today how accurate it is. Sabagay, dito sa Pilipinas, nagpo 4, 5, 6,000 tayo a day. Indonesia, 30,000 a day daw, and they're dealing with the Delta V variant. So medyo nakakaalala. So, as far as the World Health Organization is concerned, it may be true, but be careful because people might start relaxing. And it is when we relax that we get whacked. Okay? And finally, as I mentioned, business magnate and former ambassador to the Vatican, Bienvenido Benny Tantoco, passed at the age of 100 yesterday. He was the founder of Rustan's Commercial Corporation, and he passed away due to pneumonia. But he reached at least 100, and alam niyo po, just before COVID, I would still get to see Ambassador Tantoco still walking on his own. Kumbaga, hindi, mahina na, matanda na, pero siguro mga 97 na siya noon when I last saw him. Kahit pa paano, kaya pa. So, he will be missed by his family, and our condolences to the family. Now, the quote of the day has nothing to do with the interviews of the day or the topic for interviews. It comes from the book of Proverbs in the Bible, chapter 18, verse 24. A man of many companions may come to ruin, but there is a friend who sticks closer than a brother. Yung taong maraming tropa, maraming kaibigan, pwedeng masawala lahat. You could lose it all. But there is a friend. Merong isang kaibigan na kung dumikit sa'yo, umalalay sa'yo, talo pa ang kapatid. And I was reminded of this passage when I heard one of the survivors of the Hercules C-130 plane crash in Patikul. He was crying. Ito sundalo po ito, no? I think he was a sergeant or something like that. He was crying and he's saying, my family is gone, my brothers are gone, wala na yung tropa ko. And it reminded me of this verse because those of you who are in the military, who have family in the military, or who have attachments or a love for the military or appreciation, you will understand that in the military, they're not just troops, troopmates, or kabaro or kasangga. They're family. Sabi nga nung Marines, no one gets left behind. And among them is a friend who sticks closer than a brother, and we just want to express our sincere condolences. Nakikiramay po kami ng lubos sa mga nawalan, lalo na po yung mga magulang na nawalan ng rami-raming mga batang sundalo po yung namatay dyan, iba-ibang service, and we just want to say our prayers are with you that God may give you relief in this extreme moment of grief. Okay, let's move on to the main part of the program, the interviews, and following up on the headlines. The World Health Organization has called the Lambda variant, which was first detected in Peru, a variant of interest. Hindi po ito a variant of concern. Kumbaga, binabantayan, pinag-aaralan kasi, teka, ito ba ay lalala? Ito ba ay manggagawa na naman ng karagdagang gulo? Is this going to be a threat? The said variant is feared to be more infectious than the Delta variant. Aba, parang akala ko ba last week wala nang mas lalala pa sa Delta? Ngayon meron pang mas malala. To talk more on this, let's have the DOH Technical Advisory Group member, Dr. Anna Ong-Lim, a pediatric infectious disease expert and one of the more popular persons speaking on behalf of the DOH. Dr. Anna Ong-Lim, are you there? Good morning po. Okay, there. Dr. Lim, good morning to you. Mukhang may delay tayo sa ere. Okay, looks like we had some technical difficulty. But anyway, I've just been advised we can just, ere, ba itong Okay, well, look, we'll just go for a quick break and we'll fix our connections. But when we return, we hope to have with us Dr. Anna Ong-Lim of the Department of Health. Please stay around. Okay, welcome back to the program Agenda. I'm your host, Cito Beltran, and you are watching us via Cignal TV, Channels 8, and on High Definition, Channel 250. We have back with us Dr. Anna Ong-Lim, member of the DOH Technical Advisory Group. Dr. Lim, good morning, ma'am.
Good morning, Cito.
Okay, alam mo, Doktora, the other week, I requested for an interview because I was very worried about what was happening in Indonesia, where they were reporting 30,000 cases a day. There were shortages in oxygen, etc. And sabi ko, aba, ay isang bangka lang, tawid na natin ang Indonesia, baka tumawid dito yung Delta, ay nakahanda na ba tayo? Because, right now, the DOH has done a good job. I have to put credit where credit is due. We're okay. But, India was okay. Indonesia was okay until this Delta variant hit. And now they're running out of oxygen. Do we have a contingency plan, or what is our situation anticipating Delta V?
You're right, Cito, no, to be worried, I think, because experience coming from other countries has shown that where they have been hit with Delta, the increased transmissibility that this variant has is really affecting their numbers. So, kaya ganun na lang yung ating emphasis on border control. Kaya nga, nagdoble ingat, no? Particularly in making sure that all returning travelers, all returning overseas Filipinos should be tested and should comply with the designated number of days of quarantine. Kasi nakita naman natin even in the past na yung mga bagong variants na nakapasok sa bansa usually came from returning overseas Filipinos.
No, Dr. Lim, how can you explain? Kasi honestly, I'm puzzled. We always say, "Oh, this variant is so contagious, so deadly." Last week, my impression was that the Delta variant was the worst of them all, and then now they're saying this Lambda variant is even deadlier. Parang sabi ko, may deadlier pa ba sa deadly? Parang I think everything
Deadly.
ends.
Yeah. Oo. So, siguro dapat naiintindihan din natin yung natural behavior ng kahit anong organism. Siyempre, kakalat yung pinakamatibay. Kumbaga yung kasabihan na matirang matibay, totoong-totoo yan, no? Particularly
Mhm.
for microorganisms. So,
Okay.
nakita na nga natin na yung Delta overtook the wild type, which is what the old original Wuhan strain was designated as, and even overtook yung alpha and beta variants that were thought to be at that time, no, nung
Mhm.
natuklasan sila na yun na yung pinaka. So meron pa palang mas pinaka kaysa sa alpha and beta itong delta. At lalo
Mhm.
ngayon, no, iniisip, maaring itong lambda might also be something to watch out for. Pero awa ng Diyos ngayon, it's still just designated as a variant of interest, which you already pointed out is quite different from a VOC or a variant of concern.
Yeah, no, in terms of if how do you call in being infectious, no, meron na ba tayo, because I know in the past the DOH would come up with, oh, with this variant or with this type of COVID, chances are one carrier can infect 18. With this variant, chances are it can affect 20. Meron na ba tayong scoreboard sa shooting score nitong mga walang yung variant na ito na nagtatayo ng fraternity at sorority sa Pilipinas?
Oo nga, nakakatuwa yung pangalan, ano? Pero sa ngayon, dahil variant of interest pa nga lang itong si Lambda, medyo inaalam pa lang yung information. I think yung
Mhm.
basis for saying na mas contagious siya, no, is the fact that in the countries where it's been found, tulad dun sa mga Latin American countries, particularly in Peru, siya na yung dominant strain.
Mhm.
Pero in fairness, hindi ko naman, or from what I was able to review, parang wala naman silang masyadong delta doon. no?
Mhm.
So parang hindi natin ma-compare Delta versus Lambda, alin ba, until we get to parang population-based figures to be able to compute those numbers.
Okay, going back to my first question, does the DOH or has your group or all the experts sat down and discussed a what if scenario? Meaning, what if Delta or Lambda actually enters the community in the Philippines? What would be our scenario? Because it seems our worst medicine is our best medicine, which is lockdown, extreme lockdown. I mean, I hate to admit it, but it seems to be very effective against the spread of the disease. But can we actually contain the Delta variant to the point where we don't have an India scenario or an Indonesian scenario na pati oxygen at hospital nagkaubusan na? Okay, we seem to be having some technical difficulty at the hospital for Dr. Lim, but the minute she comes back, alam niyo po mga kaibigan, the reason I'm really hammering at this is because time and again we have seen, in spite of the best efforts of government, of the DOH, and Filipinos at large, tayo po yung mga nagsakripisyo. We would subject ourselves to quarantine, to lockdowns, to all sorts of ECQ, MECQ, etc. In spite of that, there has been no stopping the entry of different viruses, different variants in the Philippines. And fortunately, thank God, literally thank God, that the variants that have come in were not kumbaga, the colossal pandemic disaster type. Kumakalat pero hindi nagkalat ng lagim at kamatayan. May mga namatay pero hindi nagkaubusan. Anyway, let's go back to Dr. Ana Ong-Lim. Dr. Lim, kasi parang sooner or later, and I wish to God it's later, something might sneak through. Has this been what if scenario discussed, and what's the plan, or are we preparing for it? Kasi yung oxygen pag nagkaubusan, medyo magiging problema yon.
I think the previous surge that we had in April, I would say, served as a good dress rehearsal.
Served as a good dress rehearsal. Kumbaga bahagyang nagkasubukan noong April. So it served as a warning more than a dress rehearsal na we could face a serious medical health care challenge in the Philippines. So ayan po, no. Okay, Doc, back to you again, Doc. Okay, there we go. I can hear the good doctor. Doc, back to you again. You were saying? Okay, medyo palagay ko wala na tayong magagawa dun sa Cignal. Kanya po mga kaibigan, pinakamagaling talaga yung PLDT fiber optic internet, kasi pag nakakable na sa loob ng bahay, hospital, hindi po problema yung puro simento, kasi binibigyan kayo nung parang bang pancake na wifi router o kung ano man yung tawag nila doon. Kasi like here in Lipa, the sound studio is away from the house, but it has a router. I ran a cable direct to the computer. So tayo ay by God's grace and through the help of PLDT, tuloy-tuloy. Okay? And so going back to the topic, just so that everyone knows or is aware, manood din po kayo ng mga international news, kasi ang nangyayari po, we keep focusing on the Philippines and it becomes an island mentality of sorts. Tayo nag-aaway, nagdedebate, we argue about what should and shouldn't be. But when you get to see what's happening in Indonesia, in Peru, in Japan, sa Amerika, sa Europe, medyo okay na sila. In UK, they're even saying that they will start removing masks. They will start opening a lot of stuff because, ewan ko kung tama yun, nadinig ko kagabi, parang sabi ni Boris Johnson, parang vaccinated na daw yung general population or baka may herd immunity na sila. But until we have that, right now we are bangka ride away from Indonesia. And if that Delta variant crosses into the Philippines, lalo na po kayo mga kaibigan namin down south, please, higpitan po ninyo pagbabantay sa mga kapitbahay, sa mga kakilala, yung mga mahilig bang mag-shopping kung saan-saan dyan sa bandang southern Philippines, tumatawid pa to Malaysia, to Indonesia. Please be careful because it could wipe out southern Philippines because ang layo nyo na sa Metro Manila. Pagkatas, pag tinamaan kayo ng Delta variant dyan, ay patay-patay. Hindi po tayo makakapagtayo ng hospital biglaan. Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Anna Ong-Lim. Hopefully, we will have a better shot at interview with her. And in the meantime, let's go for a quick break and we'll be right back here on Agenda. Okay, you're back here on Agenda, and I'm your host, Cito Beltran, and thank you for subscribing to Cignal TV and to PLDT Fiber Optic. Okay, let's go to our next... Hindi na ito guest eh. Hindi na ito guest. Lagi na itong nasa agenda from the very beginning, a friend of the program. We have none other than health reform advocate, Dr. Anthony Tony Leachon. Tony, good morning.
Morning, Cito. Magandang umaga.
Okay, let's go straight into the topic of discussion. I was attempting to have a deep dive with Dr. Anna Ong-Lim regarding itong Delta variant, itong Lambda variant, etc. And I was asking her, is there a what-if scenario plan if Delta variant or Lambda variant infiltrates the Philippines? Because, in fairness to all doctors, government officials, we've done our best, and all Filipinos, we have done our best to fight the COVID, pero nalulusutan pa rin tayo eh. And what happens kung malusutan tayo? What scenario do you see developing in the Philippines? Are we in a better position than, let's say, Peru or Indonesia? In Indonesia and in India, nagkaubusan na sila ng hospital beds, hospitals, and oxygen tank. At sa India, sadly, namamatay na lang sa kalsada ang tao. What is your assessment if that variant gets into the Philippines?
Well, unfortunately, Cito, siguro mga 2 linggo ko na kinukulit eh. na dapat nag-travel ban tayo kasi yan ang pinaka-effective considering ang Indonesia nasa southern border lang ng Mindanao. At ang pinakamataas na cases natin ngayon ay Davao. In fact, sa top 20, Bismin ang pinakamataas. Kaya sabi ko, bakit ayaw nila mag-travel ban? Samantalang June 23, si Prime Minister Carrie Lam, binan na nila ang Indonesia. Tapos ang Indonesia, 2 days ago, naglagay ng warning, lahat ng hindi bakunado at walang negative RT-PCR, hindi pwedeng pumasok ng Indonesia. Ganyan yung scenario sa Chinese Wuhan strain nun Nag-lockdown ang China. Ayaw natin mag-lockdown, baka daw magtampo yung China. Nakapasok through the back door. Pumasok sa Cebu and then Dumaguete. Yan ang problema kasi natin Ang Delta variant is highly transmissible. Within seconds nga lang ang reproduction number nito 6 to 8. Samantalang yung ordinary Wuhan ay 2 to 3. Ang normal ay less than 1. Even yung mga countries na bakunado, napasok pa rin Israel, 300 cases. Australia, US nga, 30% of their cases, Delta variants Sa UK, 95% So, ang pinaka-effective dyan, travel ban ka muna, obserbahan mo, para hindi ka mapasok. Kasi pag nakapasok yan sa Pilipinas, ito ang na-testing ko hindi ready yung healthcare system natin. Kasi for many years, napabayaan ng healthcare system natin sa manpower, maalis sa mga doktor, sa infrastructure, sa PhilHealth, tagilid pa. And then pag pumasok sa southern border yan, kasi pwede ka lang magbangka dyan At saka gateway yan Paano mo i-deploy ngayon yung mga kasangkapan? Naalala ko nung nasa National Task Force ako, nakailang sakay ako ng C-130, 50, nagdadala kami ng protective gear. O bakuna, paano mo dadala dyan Special bakuna lang for Delta variant. Ang pwede lang dyan mRNA at saka Astra. Vaccine, o Pfizer o Moderna lang pwede dyan. Kulang pa tayo sa bakuna. 3% lang tayo ng objective nating herd immunity. So, paano yun? Kaya ang pinakamagaling dyan, travel ban. Meron nga tayong travel ban na 7 countries na extended pa hanggang July 15 India, Oman, UAE, Bangladesh, Pakistan. Ba't hindi natin isama 27,000 per day ang cases doon. 500 na namamatay every day. It's
Actually, Dr. based on the monitoring I've done, the latest is they are registering 30,000 a day na ngayon, and the latest report, wala nang oxygen. Problema na yung oxygen na maraming hindi na alam kung anong gagawin. And you're correct, no? Yung sinabi mong health facility equipment. Nakabiyahe ka doon sa lugar na yan, sa Southern Philippines. Ngayon, ano ang sitwasyon in terms of number of hospitals, level of hospitals, kung magkaroon ng outbreak sa Southern Philippines, from bottom going up to sa Davao, etc., kakayanin ba nila yan? Kung same thing happens that happened in Indonesia happens in Southern Philippines?
Ako, baka hindi yung latest kasing Octa Research Group, July 6, pinadala sa akin ang healthcare facilities ng Davao puno na, 90% ang kanilang healthcare, yung utilized na. Imagine mo, Davao City, 90% yung healthcare facilities na puno. Anong variant ang nandiyan sa Southern Philippines right now? Well, ang problema sa atin, kukunti ang genomic surveillance studies natin. Ang meron lang tayo kasi RITM at saka itong National Institute of Health. I think meron yata sa East Avenue. Hindi natin tinetesting kasi lahat ng cases natin. Sa mga G7 countries, automatic positive ka, papagenomic mo or gene sequencing para sa ganun malaman mo percentage of the population mo kung ilan ang cases. Tayo wala, random lang kung ano hotspots. Kaya ako, ang feeling ko sa atin lang, baka napasok na yung Davao kasi hindi bumababa ang cases eh. Hanggang ngayon, mataas sila. I think for 2 weeks na, number 1 sila. The proximity to Indonesia, nasususpecha ako na pwede nang gagaling dun eh. Kaya,
Okay.
though
Let me-
wala akong evidence, but the 2 weeks na number 1 sila, Cito, plus the Mindanao, you have to think about it eh.
Oo, kasi ang mahirap dito, Doc Tony and ladies and gentlemen, doon sa mga tiga Davao pong nanonood, no, wala pong politika dito. I have no political color, I have no political inclination, kasi we're dealing with a health situation and we need to know what the authorities both in Davao and in Southern Mindanao are dealing with. Kasi mahirap man yun yung sasabihin, bakit ganyan? Bakit ang daming kaso ng COVID dyan sa Southern Philippines, not realizing na ang kalaban pala ninyo dyan ay iba na. That's why we really need to get the DOH and the genome labs to go down there or get
Exactly.
samples from there, bring it to the labs here so that the authorities, kasi nangyayari, nagiging political issue na yung pagdami ng kaso. May mga nagsasabi, hindi, mahina kasi liter. Hindi, kasi ganito, inuuna. Hindi po eh. We need to know what the enemy is because we're not talking politics, we're talking about the lives of people in Southern Philippines. Anyway, I had to clarify that, Doc Tony, no? Kasi yung iba nilalagyan ng kulay politika eh. Sa atin, kung alam natin kung sino yung kalaban, anong klaseng variant yan, medyo we can explain kung bakit nga ba
Yes,
2 weeks top of the charts yung COVID dyan sa Davao.
Exactly. Tama yung sinasabi mo eh. Kasi nakarating ako dyan sa Davao during the time na nandun pa ako sa National Task Force. Ang ganda ng preparation nila eh. In fact, yung Southern Philippines Hospital nila ay mas malaki pa sa PGH. At saka well-equipped yun. So, to be overwhelmed, kasi parang metropolis na ang Davao sa dami na magagaling na doktor at hospital dyan eh. So to be overwhelmed, you must be thinking na merong problema dyan. And I was thinking, baka nga may variant dyan na hindi napupuntahan ng DOH at yung mga hotspots area, chinecheck mo kahit random sampling para malaman mo kung may local transmission. Kasi meron na tayong 19 eh, na coming eh. Pero hindi naman natin nahuhuli lahat eh. Yun ang aking
Kasi
opinion.
ang mukhang nabanggit lagi, yung 19 na nasasala or those who are screened at the airports.
At the airport, at the NCR. Paano kung sa backdoor ka galing?
Yun. Kasi ako, alam mo, taong gala rin ako. Nag-iikot-ikot ako dyan nung kabataan ko. Napakadaling tumawid eh. Tumawid sa Malaysia, sa Indonesia. Now, the question is, okay, why is Davao monitored? Kumbaga, bakit alam natin yung number of cases sa Davao, pero meron bang kasing daming kaso lower or below Davao? In the other provinces or areas, kumbaga kung guguhit tayo, ito yung Davao, below Davao, yung mga cities, towns, provinces dyan, pasensya ka na, mahina na naman yung geography ko ngayon. Pumuputok rin ba doon?
Ito, top 10, bigyan kita. Davao City, number 1. And then Bacolod, number 2. Iloilo. And then General Santos, number 5, Cebu. Baguio City. Then Cagayan de Oro, Tagum. Yan, yan. Then Calamba, then Butuan. And then NCR. So, ibig sabihin, sa top 10, 5 ang nasa Bismin. So,
That's interesting. It's interesting, Doc Tony. Pasensya ka na, nakikipagpuntahan lang naman tayo. Tayo lang naman dalawa nagkwentuhan dito eh. Hindi, puro cities eh, ang reporting. Kasi like in Davao, I assume, kahit na hindi tiga Davao, pupunta sa Davao City para magpa-hospital, para mag-doktor dahil desperado. Like here in, I remember a case in Pampanga, yung kakilala ko doon, umabot ng Metro Manila, umabot ng Batangas, umabot pa ng Pangasinan yata, trying to look for a hospital. But is bakit puro cities? Kasi marami namang wala bang reports on saan yung outbreak? Kasi parang pag sinabi mong city, iniisip ng tao, dyan yung problema. Pero hindi nila alam na kanya sa city kasi doon naiipon dahil nando doon yung hospital.
Hospital. Karamihan cities kasi, ang nangyayari kasi, kung makikita mo ang ating setting, archipelago na tayo, pero ang Pilipinas kasi kakaiba kaysa sa mga Europe na ang urban nila ay halos yung buong country. Sa atin kasi, pagka pumunta ka sa countryside, bibilang ka ng 100 kilometer bago yung next sa hospital eh. At sigurado nandun yung mga mga hamburger stores at saka mga grocery. So ibig sabihin Sito, because of the social distancing in the barrio, talagang urban setting ang nadadali because of their proximity and their mobility. Kaya yan ang explanation yan as I discussed with some of key opinion leaders, kaya puro city. Because in the provinces nga naman, pagka nagbabiyahe ka, di ba, kunyari, magre-restroom ka, bago mo marating yung susunod, ang layo eh. Kaya in the barrios, hindi masyado. Ang talagang tinatamaan talaga cities because of their proximity and mobility.
Tsaka
Pero
pag nagkasakit doon sa may dalampasigan, ang punta sa bayan, kung walang doktor sa bayan, pupunta doon sa syudad.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yan ang explanation.
Okay, Dr. Tony, let's go for a quick break. Pagbalik natin, I just want to go through a fast review of questions like yung COVID passes, yung shortage in vaccines, etc., etc. We'll be right back with Dr. Anthony Tony Leachon here on Agenda. Okay, back on agenda and let's go back to Doc Tony Leachon. Doc Tony, ibahin naman natin ng konti. So at least to recap, no, dapat talaga magkaroon ng wider testing for genome testing profiling dyan sa Southern Philippines. Dapat, as per your recommendation, magkaroon ng travel ban to Indonesia because of the severe number of cases in Indonesia of the Delta variant. Now, what about this COVID passes? Kasi I was just monitoring and heard Presbiterio Velasco, Governor of Marinduque, if I'm not mistaken, and President of the League of Philippine Provinces. And sabi niya, yung panukala or instructions of Malacanang na the presentation of a vaccination card of a fully vaccinated individual is sufficient travel pass. Hindi na kailangan ng RT-PCR, etc. Sabi ni Governor Velasco, kahit naman bakunado, pwede pa rin naman maging carrier at baka mamaya manghawa o magkalat pa ng lagim sa probinsya namin. Is this still a valid argument considering that Metro Manila or other areas have more vaccinated people than the rest of the provinces?
Alam mo, tama si Governor Velasco eh. Kasi ang sinunod nila yung CDC eh. Ang CDC kasi recommendation niyan, ang huhusay ng bakuna nila na pwedeng ma-address yung Delta variant eh. Nandun ang Pfizer at Moderna. CDC yan eh. cut and paste yan eh. Ang problema natin, ang dami sa ospital na not all fully vaccinated ay sasabihin natin hindi pwedeng gusto. Ang dami ko kayang pasyente na vaccinated at na-hospital pa rin. Ang daming asymptomatic cases. Yung pumunta ka nga na lang operating room. Hindi ka pwedeng operahan kahit asymptomatic ka kung wala kang RT-PCR. Kasi makocontaminate mo yung operating room eh.
Well, that's true. Kasi na-disgrasya ako 3 weeks ago, in RT-PCR ako. Sabi ko, Doc, fully vaccinated na kami. Sorry sir, hindi kayo pwedeng pumasok dyan kung hindi kayo na-clear. And thank God naman, na-clear kami. So na-operahan ako ng emergency pa yun ha. Hindi yun elective procedure. So tumatagas na yung dugo sa akin.
Sa amin nga, imagine mo, appendicitis hindi yung pwede. Kailangan talagang gawin yun ang sinasabi natin. Yan ang una. So tama yun. Yung unang concept na yan.
So marami kang patients na fully vaccinated pero pag tinest ay either asymptomatic or COVID positive.
Exactly. Marami. Tsaka hindi lang to puntahan mo yung ibang countries. 60% na sa Israel tinan mo, nahawa pa. Pero milder ang cases definitely. Okay. Sa US, 30% of cases sa US, no, UK 95%. Pero ito sasabihin ko. Pagka nakapasok lang ang isa niyan sa atin, lalo na sa NCR na gumaganda na. Paano pa 'yon? Pangalawa, ang weakest link ka natin testing Kaya nga yung positivity rate, pag nakikita ko yung DOH bulletin, yung sa hapon, alas 4, lumulungkot ako. 4 na buwan na hindi bumababa yung positivity rate natin. Dapat less than 5%. 12% pa
Ano ba yung positivity rate para sa aming hindi nakakaintindi niyan?
Ito ang pinakamahalagang testing. Wala nang lockdown sa ibang countries. Dalawa lang ang tinitingnan Sa Indonesia, 3 ang kanilang battle cry. Yung ganda ng video ni Prime Minister Lee. Test, trace, and vaccinate. Wala nang lockdown. Sa Amerika, ang tinitingnan yan. Ang ibig sabihin niyan, positivity. Ang number of tests mo na positive over the number of tests na ginawa mo for a day. So kunyari, kahapon, ang positivity rate natin ay nasa 12%. Ang baba kasi ng testing natin, 31,000 lang. Dapat 100,000. Ang testings kasi, dapat yan 10 to 20% of the population natin out of the 110 million. Nagawa lang natin last year 9 million, dapat 20 million. So, kaya ngayon sa mga workplaces, every 2 weeks nagte-testing sila. Ang tawag doon sentinel testing. Kasi meron mga asymptomatic para makapasok ka. Kung negative ka, pasok ka. Pagka positive ka, sa bahay ka. Anong lockdown na kailangan mo? 'Di ba? So, walang lockdown. So, testing, tracing, and then vaccination. Yan ang game plan. Wala nang lockdown. Pahihirapan mo economy. Ang problema sa atin, tinanggal natin yung main protection Okay na sana yung quarantine 'Di ba pag magbiyahe ka abroad, 3 days bago ka bumili ng ticket, magpe-present ka na negative RT-PCR. Tayo ang pinakamababang vaccination. Second to the last nga tayo sa Bloomberg ranking dahil nadali tayo sa vaccination tapos ang lakas ng loob nating hindi magpa-RT-PCR going into the National Capital Region and to and fro. Yung galing din ng National Capital Region, pupunta ng Davao, ang dami na nga ng Davao, ang dami na ng Visayas. At yung taga Davao na ang taas ng positivity rate, 16%. Ibig sabihin almost 1 in every 5. Tapos pupunta sa Maynila na gumaganda na 7%, hindi pa perfect. Di magkakahalo-halo yan. At least man lang, kung gusto nyo bawasan ng quarantine, okay na yan. Pero wag yung tanggalin yung diagnostic tool na pinangahawakan natin. Kasi yung ating bakuna, hindi kasing bangis ng mga bakuna sa ibang parts ng world. Hindi pwede ang ibang Delta variant dyan. Yan ang ibig kong sabihin. Kaya nga, napapag-usapan yung booster at saka yung mix and match because of the Delta variants Kaya, it also breeds complacency. Ito nga headline nga na ng Philippine Star WHO warns DOH versus encouraging complacency. Ito sa fraud page eh.
Oh.
At narinig ko rin sa interview ni Dr. Rabindra eh. Pinoproject kasi na low risk tayo eh. Tingin ko, optics to for the zona eh. Kasi, tinan mo fully vaccinated ka, sasabihin. Tapos, mababa ang kaso mo. Tapos, in 3 weeks time, may zona ka. So, you want to project an image na hindi ganun. Mali yun eh. Mali yun eh. Sa akin, let's not do that. Politika na naman yan eh. Kaming mga nagbabasa everyday, paano ka magkakaroon ng low risk? Ang taas ng positivity rate. Ang taas pa rin ng cases natin. Hindi pa nga pumapasok ang mga bata sa eskwelahan. Tapos sasabihin natin na tayo low risk. Parang hindi naman tayo nag-iisip masyado. Tapos nagkakakaulungan. Ang headline ngayon sa Philippine Star, delivery delay halts vaccination in cities. 7 LGUs nag-declare na wala na halos supply.
So Doc Tony, baka sabihin naman kasi na puro ka batikos, ano? Pero I'm beginning to see the connections, no? Kasi sinabi nila wala COVID vaccination card is an okay pass. Akala ko naman, wow, ay salamat, nakikinig yung IATF at yung Malacanang na wala na nung mga RT-PCR at itong mga quarantine. Kasi siyempre naman ako, and most Filipinos, we think in terms in relation to our needs or our comfort or discomfort. Kung ano ba yung mas madali o maigi sa amin, yun ang gusto namin. Pero lumalabas dito na kung susundan mo yung science at yung nangyayari on the ground, there are many patients who go into hospitals na pag na-testing, kahit na fully vaccinated, ay asymptomatic or carrier pala ng COVID. So number 1. So pag ito, pinayagan mo magbiyahe yung mga fully vaccinated, there is still a high chance or a strong possibility na some of them will be COVID positive carriers as expressed by Governor Velasco.
That's correct.
Valid yun, number 1. So, pag kinonect ko ito dun sa sinasabing declaration of low risk, contrary to the fact na there is a high positivity, there are children not allowed to go to school, parang yung 1 + 1 = zona. Yun na ba yun?
Oo, kasi natingin ko messaging yan eh. Nung binatikos, nung nagkaroon ng Bloomberg ranking, ang daming messaging to defend the department sa vaccination rate. Pero kung a-analyzein mo, hindi kaya itong low risk is a sagot for the Bloomberg and the WHO Western Pacific saying na number 2 tayo sa Indonesia in terms of the number of cases and deaths. Ito yung naging problema ko before, kaya ako naalis dyan eh. Kasi yung transparency and candidness in terms of your messaging. Kasi you will send the wrong signal eh. Na magbe-breed ka ng complacency at a time na hindi ka po okay at may Delta variant ka at mababa pa yung vaccination rate. And that's my problem.
Alam mo, tama ka dyan, Doc Tony. I am sorry that we've run out of time. Pero I will confirm what you said, no? Kasi after being fully vaccinated, kami ng misis ko, pati yung aking caretaker, yung mayordoma, pinavaccinate din namin. Medyo hindi na kami nagmamask kasi lahat tayo naman vaccinated eh. Aba, yun, biglang parang tinatrangkaso yung aming kasama, isang kasama, medyo kagabi ang usapan na dito sa bahay, teka, pati, mabuti na lang nung nagsabi yung tao na medyo masama pakiramdam, sabi ko, sandali, diyan ka muna sa kwarto mo, wag kang lalapit sa bahay, etc. Kontrangkaso lang yan, okay, but now we're gonna have to send her to be tested for COVID. Mukhang tama yung sinasabi mo eh, kasi yun naman ang sinabi ng maraming doktor, kahit na nabakunahan, malamang at malamang pwede pa ring dapuan ng COVID, and all of this transparency issue is going to give false sense of protection to the public. Nako po. Thank you, Doc Tony. Maraming salamat kasi yung sinabi mo na biglang na-connect to the dots eh. Pare ko po, politika na naman. Okay,
Oo,
Doc.
thank you very much. At binabasa ko lagi yung Philippine Star at tama yung mga connect the dots nila eh. And when you analyze the data, hindi ka napapaisip kapag gano'n eh. Ako naman, I'm a man of science, I'm just stick to the data. Kaya lang, iniisip mo, bakit gano'n ang messaging? Hindi siya aligned with the data. And napapaisip ka ng iba. And that's dangerous in a country ng healthcare system mababa, vaccination rate ganito, all over the country, Bismin occupying the top 20. Ang hirap naman yan in an archipelago setting. So yun lang, Cito.
Thank you very much, Doc Tony Leachon. As always, very helpful insights, and I'm sure may mga maaasar na naman sa'yo sa Malacanang at sa IATF, pero ganun po in our efforts to tell the truth, not everyone will be happy. Thank you very much, Doc Tony.
Thank you very much, Cito. And stay safe, Cito.
Okay. Yan po si Doc Anthony Leachon, Health Reform Advocate. Puntahan naman natin yung inyong mga saloobin with our Netizen Report here on Agenda.
Last week, we asked you, how should the government learn from the recent outbreak in Indonesia, where around 300 vaccinated health workers contracted the virus? Maynard Rivera says, kapag delayed action, maaaring humantong sa paglagay sa alanganin ng ating mga mamamayan. He adds, pwede naman ipahinto habang pinag-aaralan para ligtas. A Facebook page with the username Police State PH replied to Maynard's comment. It said, Sinovac still gives protection to severe COVID and death. Kapag pinahinto mo, mas marami ang mamamatay sa COVID. We also ask you, should the government expand the list of countries included in the travel ban due to the threat of the Delta variant? Laika Lopez Guzman disagrees. She says we should ease the travel restriction, have mercy to our OFWs who want to go home. On the other hand, McLaren Jeff Buttersal agrees. He explains, expand the travel ban list until people are fully vaccinated. Erwin Gabutan Bangalan is on the same fence. He says, we have to expand the travel ban to protect our people. Let's only accept guests from another country if we have already reached herd immunity. We also discuss the increasing cases of online scam and ask for your personal experiences. Romel Bautista admits, I've been a victim many times. That's why we are calling on the government to pass a law protecting consumers. Sean Michael Peregrino has more specific solution. He says the government should implement registration of SIM cards. By this, we can trace scammers.
Okay, and that's Agenda for today. Keep it here on Cignal TV channels 8 and 250 for the latest news. I'm Cito Beltran. We are One News.